Councilmember Dukes.
Present.
Thank you. So we'll start our meeting at 2:02. To approving the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve?
I will move to approve the minutes.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The committee will discuss and vote upon attached campaign finance legislation H 8118 submitted by other persons and entities to the General Assembly. Rick will be presenting.
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
There we go. All right. Good afternoon. All right. The bill that's up for consideration is House 8118. This bill is sponsored by Representative Catherine Kazarian, submitted at the request of Common Cause of Rhode Island, and the amendment was drafted by attorneys at the Campaign Legal Center. I was brought into discussions on this proposal from both of those operations. This act would amend various sections of law relating to campaign finance, campaign contributions and expenditures for both Rhode Island General Law 17-25 and Rhode Island General Law 17-25.3. Specifically, the amendments would deal with several changes, one of which would prohibit self-dealing with political action committee funds. They're not so much in Rhode Island so far, but there are scam PACs that have been established where the purpose of those PACs is essentially just to enrich the people who are running them and not for campaign finance advocacy. There's also provision that would prohibit donations made in fictitious names. That provision already exists, but the language in this proposal would strengthen the penalties. It also would require reporting of sub-vendors. Our current e-filing system requires the reporting of a payee who the campaign is paying, but in the instance where, say, a credit card is used, the name of the credit card company might be the only payee that's reported, and not the actual provider of the good or services. The campaign finance staff educates the filers to include that sub-vendor language in the expender explanation box, but there are space limitations within that field. And again, this provision would require the reporting of that. So it would take out any uncertainty of how a campaign is to report that activity. It would also further define in-kind contributions to present it as a fair market value. Again, that has been a source of some problems through the years where, say, a campaign receives a discounted good or service for what is provided to them rather than the fair market value. And lastly, it would also codify accounts payable, which has been an issue where a vendor provides goods or services to a campaign, and then the campaign does not pay that vendor over an extended period of time. This proposal would convert that amount after an extended period of time to an actual, the way that it's worded, as a loan to the campaign. And because it would come from a business, it would not be allowed. Staff recommendation supports these proposals with just a modification to the accounts payable one. The language is indicating that an accounts payable unpaid for a certain amount of time would convert to a loan. However, Rhode Island General Law 1725(3)(4) states a loan shall be a contribution of money until it's repaid. And in my estimation, an outstanding or unpaid accounts payable does not constitute an exchange of money, but rather the value of the goods or services provided. And for that reason, I believe loan should be changed to an in-kind contribution. But other than that modification, I would support this bill.
Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Just a quick question. With regard to the fair market value, Is there any definition here as to how that's going to be reached?
There is actually an existing statute that was codified during the last legislative session, which would actually indicate how that's
And
derived.
so that same definition will apply to the language here.
Correct.
I have a question. It's a two-part question. So based on the proposed changes, one, have you had this conversation or shared these with the sponsor or Common Cause?
Yes,
Okay,
with Common Cause, not the sponsor. Yes.
great. And I know Common Cause sent a letter. I don't know if you'd like to hear from them or if we are all set.
I mean, I was going to move support,
Perfect. Okay.
particularly with regard to the change
To the
to
changes.
in-kind. But if the
yeah.
chair wants to hear from Common Cause, or if you'd like to address.
I guess I'd like to ask if with the changes that are being proposed, if you're in support of it and if you believe that the sponsor would as well.
Yeah, thank you, John Marion, on behalf of Common Cause. Yes, first of all, thank you. Rick said we brought him in early on this process, and I'm grateful for the time and the feedback of multiple iterations of this, and for his recommendation. Yes, totally amenable to the proposed amendment. You know, I shared with him before the meeting, this isn't going anywhere this session. You know, we weren't even able to get a Senate companion in time. So, you know, we see this as a long-term project. And I would welcome, you know, for next year, if there are additional changes that the board wants to see included, to kind of view this as an omnibus that might be a vehicle for, you know, additional improvements. This is just sort of a laundry list I've kept for you know, the better part of a decade, and finally got around to having drafted.
Thank you.
So.
Thank you.
I mean, I'll move support.
Perfect. And I'll second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. All right. And the last one is the legislative committee may discuss and vote to suspend the legislative committee. I know the session is not yet over. It's almost, maybe, hopefully, maybe a month and a half away. And so I'm wondering if it would be the member or the executive director would be okay if we pause it till end of June. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think I would like to just hold it
And just-
until the
That's
end of
fine.
June.
And then maybe at the end of session, we could schedule a meeting.
Yeah, I would love an end of session meeting to discuss what happened and how our priorities sort of ended. If that's gonna be
Great.
okay. Great, awesome. Do we need to vote on that? No, we don't.
So we,
I don't believe you need to take a vote if it's
All right,
not going
perfect.
to,
Okay. All right, so do we have a motion to end this legislative
motion to
committee?
adjourn the legislative session.
Second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
And again, Marcel, I'm sorry. I screwed that up.
I have to read my emails.
Okay, you see, you record.
Okay, this